second speaker was a National League All-Star in 1989. He was a seventh-round draft pick by Cleveland in 1979 and famously traded to the Phillies for Manny Trillo, Julio Franco, Jay Bowler, George Vukovich, and Jerry Willard in 1982. In a 12-year big league career, he hit .267 with 143 homers, 253 stolen bases, and 696 RBI. He led the National League with 46 doubles and 107 runs scored in 1986, a season in which he also knocked in 98 runs while hitting .305. He finished 8th in MVP voting after the season. A well-rounded player, his 9 assists led National League right fielders in 1989, and his .993 fielding percentage topped the league's center fielders in 1985. He stole a career-high 48 bases in 1984. As Bob mentioned, he was on the Phillies' Wheeze Kids team that won the 1983 National League pennant. On June 11th, 1985, the Phillies beat the Mets 26-7. Anybody remember that game? He became the first player in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 home runs in the first inning. After leading off the game with a home run, he hit a grand slam later in the inning. In June of 1989, the Phillies fell behind the Pirates 10-0 in the first inning. This is the game where Pirates broadcaster Jim Rooker said, "If the Pirates lose this game, I'll walk back to Pittsburgh," which he did the following year. Because our speaker hit a pair of 2-run home runs, and the great Steve Jeltz homered from both sides of the plate in the game as the Phillies came back to win. Making his 4th appearance at the Hot Stovers, please welcome Von Hayes.
Thank you. Let's see if I can get this up. You know, public speaking was always kind of a tough thing for me, and my father used to say, and along with a speech coach in college, they said, you know, just close your eyes, imagine everybody in the room naked, and open your eyes. It didn't work. It's a pleasure to be here again in Reading, Pennsylvania. A great Phillies program. Super fans of the Phillies. We love you. It's my 3rd time here, not the 4th time, my 3rd time here. And it's always a pleasure. I want to start by congratulating the young players here. It wasn't that long ago, well, actually it was a long time ago, that we went through the same type of awards, and it leads to better things. When I look at these young players, you know, I look at a lot of kids that I coach and I give lessons to. We still give a lot of baseball lessons, and I wanted to kind of talk to them a little bit about a few things it takes to, you know, to get to the big leagues, or really to the big leagues of life as far as that's concerned. But I want to talk to the parents also when it comes to paying money for lessons. I know a lot of you parents probably did. I mean, these kids don't get as good as they are without working hard and taking a lesson here and there. But I think a big part of when I was growing up, the reason I loved baseball so much wasn't because I played every day like they do now. I mean, these young players today are playing on these club teams and their high school teams, and there's just so many games during the course of the week that these guys play. And yeah, I agree. You know, it's good to get a lot of things under your belt, but I think the biggest strides I made as a young player was the practice. I mean, we'd play maybe 3 games a week in the summertime, and you'd make your mistakes, and you talk them over with your dad or your brother or whoever else, maybe your teammates, and you'd identify your problems. And then, you know, after school, or you'd make time somewhere to get somebody to hit you some ground balls, or work on a throw you didn't make, or go out and hit and work on something that you saw somebody else do. But it's very difficult to make strides during the course of a game. It's hard to learn. It's hard to get, I mean, mentally you can get better by playing a lot of games, but physically you got to get out there and work at it. So to the young players, you know, and the dads and the parents that are spending money on their kids to take lessons, make sure that it's just not about hitting, okay? I would not give an hour lesson unless they agree that there's going to be at least 15 minutes, maybe more, depending upon how much we accomplish hitting wise, that we're going to do some kind of baseball skill. We're going to sit here and we're going to either just talk about, you know, this is what it takes to run the bases. This is how you take your leads. As an outfielder, this is what you're thinking. I mean, so you're teaching baseball skills without hitting, okay? Hitting to me, I mean, 45 minutes. Take about a half hour to 45 minutes and you're hitting. You don't need any more than that, okay? When you take too much, you get tired and you start developing bad habits. So parents, spend your money wisely. Make sure you get good teachers that can understand this, and we'll share that with you. So young players, okay, so I get asked all the time, you know, what are some attributes, what are some things I need to concentrate on, you know, to make it that far? You know, what was it for you? And for me, I think I can think of two things that I tried to do, and one of them was to be versatile, and not only have versatility as a baseball player, but in life. But we're talking sports here, so don't be afraid to play other sports. I mean, Bobby touched on it a little bit, but I love basketball. I mean, I probably love basketball more than I did baseball when I was in high school. I mean, one of the kids here I was talking to, and I couldn't believe how big all these guys were. And when I said that, they said, well, you're 6'5". I said, yeah, but when I was a freshman in high school, I was about 5'7", 99 pounds. I mean, I was a little tiny guy. I didn't grow really till I got to college. So I was telling these guys, you know, it's not just about one sport. When I played basketball, it taught me lessons that I used in baseball big time. Baseball is a difficult sport. When you compare them to the other ones, for me, baseball was the toughest because you can strike out in baseball, and it takes a long time before you get to hit again and make up for the strikeout, or you left a couple guys on base. So mentally, you got to be tough, and you got to get in there. And sure, it'd be great if you can go out there in the outfield and make a dive and catch right away and make up for the time you just struck out. But sometimes they don't hit the ball to you. So now what do? I mean, you just got to kind of take it and mentally stay tough until the next time you come up. That's what I liked about basketball. I mean, basketball, you miss a shot, boom, you're already playing defense, and you can get a rebound, you can pass, you can immediately get a result to take your mind off of a failure. Baseball's tough. It really is a tough sport, but that's why we love it. That's why we love golf. I mean, I suck in golf, but I don't play 100 rounds like Bobby, but, you know, I still enjoy the heck out of it. But, you know, it's frustrating. Baseball was the same way, but that's why we loved it. So to the young guys, I mean, keep at it. And, you know, my dad, he didn't raise a shortstop or a pitcher. He raised a baseball player. So even though when I was in high school, I played strictly shortstop, and I pitched. And I actually went to college as a pitcher. I got a scholarship to go to college at St. Mary's College in California. I went there as a pitcher. So when I talk about versatility, you better be able to adjust and zigzag if you're going to keep working your way up the ladder. I was talking to one of the young guys today, and I asked him what position he played. He said he plays center field. I said, you play in the infield? Oh, no. I said, well, you might want to change that attitude. Just go out and practice and get some ground balls. Go to first base. Go to whatever, and go ahead and play your outfield position, and get very good at that. And you might never have to move. But guess what? I came up as a third baseman throughout the minor leagues. So I'm going to give you I'm not going to talk that long, but I'm going to give you a couple stories about how to handle firsts. You know, the first time you do something, obviously you don't have any experience in it because it's the first time. How do you handle that? So, for me, it started with the Cleveland Indians. I get drafted. I play a year of minor leagues in A-ball, and I was MVP of the Midwest League in A-ball. And now I get an invite to big league camp the next year, and I make the team. In 1981, I jumped from A-ball to the big leagues. Now, I really didn't belong there, and they knew it, I knew it, but I made the team because people got hurt in spring training, and I was absolutely crushing the ball in spring training, so they couldn't leave me behind. So anyway, I make it there, and now I'm going to get to play. So they DH me for the first part of the my call up. They DH me, and now we go on the road, and we're going to play the California Angels. And I walk into the clubhouse, and I check for my name. I'm expecting to see hitting the fifth hole, DHing. And I look, and next to my name, there's a 7. And I walk into the manager's office, Dave Garcia. I said, Skip, I said, I think there's a mistake in the lineup card. You got me playing left field. I said, I've never played past 6 in my life. I've never, in a real game, played the outfield in my life, and we're playing against the California Angels. I mean, I was scared to death. But he tells me, he says, listen, he says, when you were playing AAA ball, the brass, they were on strike in 1981, the major league team, so they would come down to watch me play AAA ball. But more importantly, they weren't really worried about the games. They were looking at me in practice. So he said, listen, I would watch you take your 15 minutes of batting practice. The next 15 minutes, I'd watch you take your ground balls at third base. And then where most of the players would go in, grab a drink of water at the bench, and maybe head inside, I watch you go out to center field and power shag for the next 15 minutes. And this is late in the year, and he's saying, that versatility just got you a job in left field. You're our left fielder the rest of the year. So that was that year in '81. Now the next year in '82, they put me in right field, so I got to learn that position. I played the whole year in right field. But the bottom line is that versatility, my willingness to work and accept that new scary position, got me here to Philadelphia. Because I guarantee it, the Phillies weren't going to trade for me to play third base. Like Bobby said, they had a pretty good third baseman already in Mike Schmidt. So proving to the entire major league people that I could play the outfield, it helped me big time, and it got me traded here. And I know a lot of people think that the 5-for-1 thing and had some tough times here and everything like that. But believe me, I did some things I'm very proud of, and it wouldn't have happened without the wonderful Philly fans pushing you. Because tough times goes both ways. When you go through a tough time and you finally get through it and you start doing what you're capable of doing, it can keep you from going back the other way. That constant, it's like a jockey on your back. He just keeps pushing you. I felt that with the fans, and it was a good thing. So once again, perspective, how you look at things. So that got me through it quite a few times. I wanted to share a story of when I got called up to the big leagues for really the first time, where I'm in the minor leagues. They call me up, and I'm going to get my first at bat. So it's September 11th. Actually, let's back up a day. It's September 10th. I'm in the minor leagues in Charleston, West Virginia, and we haven't had a day off because it's dog days, and you got a lot of makeup games in September in the minor leagues. We hadn't had a day off in, it seemed like 13, 14 days. Brutal. And the whole team had marked, September 10th, day off, and we're going to have a team party. So we're in Charleston, West Virginia, and there's Charleston University there. I'm 22 years old. I'm basically, should have been a senior in college. And we decided to have this team party at this place called Muldoon's in Charleston, West Virginia. So no problem. We got the day off tomorrow. Let's get after it. So one thing leads to another, and we start having a competition with the drinking beer through a funnel. And we won that night, but we really lost. So my God, the next morning, I mean, we rented a place. It was a 3-bedroom place for 4 or 5 of us on the team, And I slept down in the basement, pitch dark. They turn the light off. You go from the kitchen down there, you get in your cot, and they go, okay, and they turn the light off. I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I mean, that's how bad it was. So we have this night. I'm like the worst hangover of my life the next morning. And they knock on my door, and they say, listen, phone call, Phil Sege from the Indians is on the phone. You're getting called up to the big leagues today. Oh, my God. I mean, talk about sobering up in a hurry, my goodness. So I get on the phone with Phil Sege, our general manager. He says, kid, he says, just pack a couple things, leave your stuff there. We'll send for them later. We got a doubleheader against the Milwaukee Brewers tonight, and you're going to play the second game. But get here as soon as you can. We might need you the first game. Okay, so flash forward. I get there for the first game. It's I don't know. It's about the fifth inning or so when I get to the clubhouse. I put my uniform on. First, I admire my locker. You know, I get to see my uniform, and woo, you know, so it's exciting. So I get my uniform on, and I go down to the tunnel, get into, and it's in the middle of the game, the first game. We got to go. So I say hello to everybody. Everybody's saying, "Hey, welcome back, kid," all that kind of good stuff. So I sit down. I got my bats in between my legs. I got my spikes on. I got my gloves someplace. And I'm just kind of chilling, just taking it all in. Dave Garcia, our manager, walks over. He goes, "Okay, kid, here we go. Rick Manning's at second base. Bo Diaz is the hitter. It's a tie ball game, no outs in the seventh. Bo Diaz is trying to bunt. If he doesn't get that bunt down in the first two strikes, you're the hitter." Holy, I'm going, my first at bat, I got to go up there with two strikes on me. Holy shit. Are you kidding me? So anyway, I've never rooted for a teammate more in my life. Come on, Bo, you know, get the bunt down. Well, he got the bunt down, thank God, and we got the run in. We ended up winning the game. But Dave Garcia comes over right after. He goes, "I was just effing with you, kid. I would never do that to you." That was my initiation to the big leagues. And then shortly after that, then I played the second game, and another first. My second time up, I can't remember. I remember the first time up. I walked up, stepped up in the box, and my knees were shaking uncontrollably. I mean, I don't know if any of you youngsters have got that feeling yet, or you guys, but I mean, I'm standing there and my knees are just shaking. I'm going, oh. And so my second time up, I finally got a base hit. I cracked the bat, blooper to right field. And Bert Blyleven was a teammate of mine, a Hall of Famer, funny guy, great guy to have on the team. He'd go around crawling around on the ground to light your shoelaces on fire, you know, or something silly like that. But so I get my first hit. I'm feeling pretty good, you know. Got my first hit in the big leagues, you know. I think I belong. Bert walks over and hands me a baseball, and he's just with like the baseball looked like it had gone through batting practice earlier that day, you know. So he hands me this ball, and he writes on it in his handwriting, you know, Von Hayes, puts a date, and he says, "First hit off pussy right-hander Jim Slayton." and he hands me the ball. It's like, yeah, thanks, Bert. So later on, he came after the game and handed me the real ball, you know, which I have to this day. So, but so the first, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like the first time you do something and getting over the nervousness and the feelings, and it's all about perspective, like I said. And another story I'd like to share with you, and I'm sure some of you may have even been at this game, but. I showed up to the ballpark June 11th, 1985, and we're playing the New York Mets, and they have a left-hander, Tom Gorman, slated to pitch that game. And I walk in the clubhouse, and I'm not playing. And, you know, to be an everyday player and a left-handed hitter, you have to learn to fight for your at-bats. And so if there's any left-handed hitters in here, listen to what I'm saying. They're always going to want to platoon you as a left-handed hitter for some reason, lefty on lefty. They're going to want to sit you down against certain left-handed pitchers. I didn't like that. I felt that even though if I'm not hitting, I might be able to do something defensively to help the team today. I was always good for maybe a walk if I couldn't hit a guy. and steal a base or at least make a difference somehow, some way. But I walked in that clubhouse, and I was 0 for 21 at that point, and having a really tough time. So when I went in to fight for I went in with, just because that's what I always did. I'm always going to go in, and if I'm not hurt, why aren't I playing? So, and managers appreciate that. They want their players to express their feelings with them. So I went in there, and I'm kind of thinking, this probably isn't a bad idea that I don't play today, because I really have kind of stunk the last 21 at bats. But I went in anyway, and the manager threw me for a loop. It was John Felsky, the manager, and he says, "Well, listen, if you want to play and you want to break out of this slump, let's give you an extra at bat. We're going to lead you off today." And I mean, it just caught me blindsided. I'd never hit anything but third, fourth, or fifth in my entire life, counting Little League, Babe Ruth, high school, everything. So leadoff, I don't know. Okay, sure, I'll give it a shot, right? So what's funny is I didn't like anything about what was happening. I didn't even like my bats anymore. I mean, it's like, get those things away from me. I can't hit with them. So I start grabbing everybody's bat and I come upon this one bat, and it's Jeff Stone. And some of you probably remember Jeff Stone. I'm pretty sure he came through here and played for Reading at some point, but great little player, but he swung a real light bat. So I grab his bat and go up for the first time in that game, get a count in my favor, and bam, I hit a home run. Pretty sweet, So just so happens that night I wasn't the only one that came with hitting shoes on. Our whole team did. I mean, it was ridiculous the amount of hits we got that night, but we happened to bat around. And now I come up again with before I come up for my second time up that inning, now the bases are loaded, they change the pitchers. And normally they bring in a left-hander to face a lefty when they're going to bring in a pitcher, but it's so early in the game they went with their long relief guy or their long guy, Calvin Schiraldi. So Calvin comes in, he warms up, and I get him in a 3-2 count. He challenges me, and bam, I hit another one. I get 5 RBIs, 2 home runs. I mean, 2 runs scored, and they're telling me that nobody's ever done that before. I said, "Wow, really? It didn't seem like it was that tough." But it happened. Stuff happens. But that was a first. That was the first time I'd ever let off in a game, and I let off a few times after that. And I had a lot of the sports writers in Philadelphia wanting me to saying that look at your stats. Look at your stats as a leadoff hitter. Not leading off the game, but just leading off innings. My numbers were really good leading off, and I did it for a while. They actually asked me to do it late in my career, and did very well, but never got asked to do it again for some. I think I got hurt or something, and then by the time I got back in there, it was Dykstra or somebody like that. But yeah, the leadoff thing was pretty cool. It's different. It's different because hitting's about, when you get to hitters counts, you always want to be in a position in the order where if you work your tail off to get it to a hitter's count, they're going to throw you something good to hit. Hopefully a fastball in an area that you can handle. But when you don't have protection around you, or you're so deep in the order that you're not going to get good. Hitting's really tough. It's tough when they're throwing sliders 3-2, or they just don't feel the need to throw strikes to you. So leading off, I mean, gosh, you get a favorable count. They don't want to face 3, 4, 5. So it becomes. I thought it was a nice spot to hit. And now you see guys. That's why I think the game changed over the years, because now you see guys like Shohei Ohtani leading off, Schwarber leading off. I mean, they want guys to get in hitters' counts and drop bombs. And I think it's a pretty good idea, because you only come up leading off one time in the game where there's nobody on base. The rest of the time, those guys are coming up with guys on base, especially nowadays, where they have the DH. So yeah, a lot of fun first experiences for me. And like I said, a lot of it is perspective. So I want to thank everybody here. It's always a pleasure to come back in this area and relive. I follow the Phillies religiously. I love following them. Baseball in general I think is in a good place. Little different than when we played. Is one thing I love seeing all the power. A lot of hitters with the launch angle and all that. I think that's great. The one thing I don't agree with, and I'd love to see more of for certain hitters, not the entire lineup, would be two-strike approach. I'd love to be able to see hitters that are power hitters get 2 strikes on them in certain situations and shorten up their lower half, not take such a big stride or whatever, use their hands and try to put the ball in play more. That's not for everybody. I understand that just putting it in play isn't always the best thing. Sometimes a strikeout's okay. If you can't run a lick, there's no sense putting it in play and hitting it into a double play, So, but for the guys that can run, I see too many. I mean, the athletes in the big leagues nowadays are just incredible. And I see guys that can benefit their team so much more if they just put the ball in play, beat out a double play, and then produce. You can turn 2 pitches into a triple. But it just doesn't seem to happen anymore. The guys are walking back to the dugout, striking out 150, 180 times. I mean, to me, I just don't understand it. But my day's passed, and it's a new game. So. But it's in a great place, and we're seeing some things from some of these players that may not ever be duplicated. So appreciate you all for having me tonight, and God bless, and love the Phillies.